Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the World of Momos podcast. And we have a Christmas special episodes for you, Silly Questions with Friends. And I have Pete North with me to answer some of my silly questions. So I hope you enjoy. So, Pete,
Right.
first silly question. A very, very, very serious silly question for someone as serious as you. Have you ever gone a day without wearing underwear?
Uh, you, yes, I think everyone has. Uh, I don't think you want the details of that one, actually. Uh,
Yeah.
what I will say is, yeah, it was. Oh God, this is going way back, that part of 20 years ago now. I got on this coach to go out to a rave out in somewhere out in the Derbyshire Dales, I think it was, and there was this big tent playing psychedelic trance, and nobody told me about that part of it. And I can't really stand psychedelic trance. I like techno and I like hard music, but there's just something utterly boring. The only way it functions is if you're
You
on
have to be on
recreational narcotics, and I
yeah.
wasn't in the mood for that. But it was. Uh, we well, it went on for many, many hours, and then we were told the coach had an accident and the wheel had the tire had blown or something. So the coach wasn't going to come and collect us from this field in the Derbyshire Dales, and we had to walk all the way down to the nearest town, and we were walking for miles and miles, and so yeah, at that point, with there not having been a Portaloo at this event, you had to take care of. Well, there's certain details you don't need, but yes, I'll. Ended up walking into the rest of the town without my underwear. But so the moral of the tale is if someone asks you if you want to go to a rave in the Derbyshire Dales, firstly ask what the music policy is first, and then regardless of what kind of music it is, say no, thank you. Just don't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think so. It's sort of like a silly question because, yeah, every day, like unless I'm going out, if I'm at home, yeah, I don't, right? Um, no, I'm a firm believer in and a supporter of Free Willy. So unless I'm going outside, and yeah, unless I'm going outside, it's no underwears for me at home. I don't want to
Well,
restrict a little
I'm,
more.
I'm sure your audience will sleep better for knowing this.
All right, let's go on to the second question. How long do you think you'd survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Well, probably either a very long time or about 5 minutes. It's not going to be because I'm either going to work it out because I'm not going to do what all the other people do. I'm just going to think about my own setting, barricade myself in, ensure I've got weapons, and think about where all the food supplies are going to be. I think I've got the good sense to survive. But the second question is one of motivation, whether I'd actually want to survive, in which case I just walk out without a care in the world after a few days, and I'd have zombies coming running after me and be like, I don't really like exercise all that much, and if having to go on a run just to avoid zombies is like,
Yeah,
no, forget
rather.
it. Let them just eat me
Yeah.
alive. That'll be over in 5 minutes, whereas a run will go on for about 15 minutes at least. I don't like exercise enough to survive.
I think so. I think so. It depends, like where you are at the moment where it happens, right? Does it
Yeah.
happen all of a sudden, or do you have enough time to gather yourself and stuff? Let's say, like if I was outside or whatever, and I have enough time to, like, make sure that my wife is safe, bring her home, and I'm at home, right? If I'm at home, like, yeah, I think so I'll pretty much survive a long time. I actually have a survival sort of pack that I've been making for a while. I have an axe in there, little axe in there, little things like fire starters and stuff like
That was
it
just
just in case.
preparing.
I'm hoping.
They were just preparing for a Labour government. That's
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to
Exactly.
recharge.
It works the same. It works the same, isn't it? It's the same
But
thing. Zombie
speaking of,
apocalypse, labor.
you're right. It does depend where you are, where it kicks off. Because
Mhm.
where I am now in sort of rural North Yorkshire, I think I have a pretty good shot at it. But
Yeah.
it's funny you should say this. Right now, they are filming the sequel to 28 Days Later, and
Oh,
they're
right. Yeah.
filming in a sports centre just in South Bradford, in the neighbourhood I was brought up in, and they've gone and made all the cars look really rusty and old and burnt out, and made everywhere look shabby, which they didn't really have to do very much to make Bradford look like a post-apocalyptic horrorscape. So, like, if that's what the zombie holocaust looks like, um, it's all contingent on me noticing what the difference is. Because, if there's zombies wandering around in Bradford, that's like just a rainy Wednesday morning. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
am I
that's
going
the
to
thing as
notice
well.
the
Like,
difference?
exactly, because and also, like, if I'm at home, right, or able to get home and stuff, then I know I have enough books that I haven't read, that I have, that can last me at least 3 years. At least 3 years, even if I read like 3 books a week, or 2 books a week. 2 books a week, yeah, I can last 3 years. So it's sort of like I can keep myself entertained. Probably my wife might kill me before the zombies do, out of boredom. Maybe because I would annoy her so much. That might be a bigger danger to me
Yeah,
than
I
the
think that's
zombies itself.
probably likely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, next question. Yeah, what is the best Wi-Fi name you have seen in your entire life?
I don't. I just don't have an answer to that one. I don't. Wi-Fi is not something I use, so it's not. It completely escapes
I,
me. So,
you haven't. Yeah, I usually go and search like Wi-Fi's and stuff. Like if I'm somewhere, like not to connect to it, just to see people's Wi-Fi names and stuff, because some people have really interesting names. I came across this. It said like Jesus is watching, and I thought like that's just perfect. Because we all know why most people go on Wi-Fi, connect to Wi-Fi for.
no, I've only tried
Next
it
question.
once. That was in New York, and I ended up catching a virus on my phone, and I had to take it to
Yeah,
a shop to have it reset. So I don't bother with that anymore.
yeah. I mean, like these open public networks, stay away from them. There's no point. Um, what was the most embarrassing place you have ever farted? I want people to know that actually I've just blind copied these questions, so I don't really know these questions. So yeah, what's the
Uh,
most embarrassing place you have ever farted?
Sheffield.
But it must have been like either the sound was a lot or either the smell was a lot, because otherwise no one would know.
Well, not so much farting, but I recall about 6 or 7 years ago. Um, I was very close to a Polish lady, and she invited me for Christmas to spend time with her family over in Warsaw, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but it because you think post-Soviet country that it's going to be quite low key, but turns out her family were very, very upper middle class, minted, and quite posh, and so they were all beautifully dressed in their Eastern European fineries, and it was a beautiful house, and all Christmas tree. I've never seen anything quite so beautiful, and I was just dressed as I normally am, hoodie,
Mhm.
t-shirt, and I had no idea that these people were so traditional because my Polish lady friend most definitely wasn't, because I'd met her through the rave scene and stories that, well, I'm not going to talk about. But it turns out on the drive between Calais and Warsaw, which is one of the most terrifying drives of all time. From one of the service stations, I'd picked up norovirus. So
Oh,
I just thought, is there a loo I can use? And so I sort of disappeared for 5 minutes. Thought I really don't feel well, and sort of washed my hands, went back into the main living room, and making pleasant conversation. And then, like 30 seconds later, it's like, "Could you excuse me, please?" And it was like it just got more frequent. It went sort of from like
oh,
between 5 minutes to 30 seconds, to the point where I couldn't actually leave their bathroom. I had to call a taxi. And this Polish taxi drivers, they must have a death wish, because it was snowing and it was icy. But he was still racing around these country lanes back into the centre of Warsaw. But I kept having to stop the taxi about every like 5 minutes to both relieve both ends at this point. So my whole Christmas, we were staying in this flat that belonged to a cousin, which was one of the big concrete sky rises, and it had a nicely decked out IKEA bathroom. But that's my whole 3 days of my whole experience of being in Poland and Warsaw was vomiting on the floor of
oh,
their nice IKEA bathroom. So that was fun.
yeah. Oh, that's embarrassing. Because like Christmas in Poland is actually really nice.
Oh, it's
Like I
beautiful. Yeah.
usually go every year, like to spend with family. This year I'm also going. So like, and their food, like interesting choices of food that they have. Some of the food like I do not touch. Especially the fish with the cream, and I don't like that.
Um,
But other things I do really love. The
they
beetroot
do.
soup is amazing.
They do pork knuckle joint, and I've
Mm,
never seen that in Britain. And there's two ways they do it. They either boil it, which isn't so nice, but if it's baked, where the ham just sort of falls off it, it's just one of the most
mm,
amazing dishes. But one of the interesting parts about going into Poland is, if you're going on the main motorway, just as you get to where the border posts used to be,
mm.
you can see the border complex is still there, and it's really quite evocative as you go over the river. But then there's just over the border on the right, there's a big truck park, and it's got this canteen in it there that looks like some kind of 1980s setup that you'd see in Britain, with all kinds of different cabbage. And the locals just get a
Yeah.
bowl, and there's just heaping piles of cabbage and sauerkraut and sausage into these big bowls. And that was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. But we had my lady friend's 7-year-old daughter with us, and as you drive through the forest back onto the main road, there's lots of prostitutes all lining the streets, because obviously
Yeah.
lorry drivers have needs, and the
A lot of
little
them are
girl's like,
Ukrainian as well, I guess.
"What are all these ladies doing, just hanging around in the forest?" It's like, how do I answer that one? But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to go back, because what they did with Poland was, I don't know if you've been down to Warsaw. Most of that was absolutely demolished in World War
Mm,
Two. But
mm,
the
mm.
way
Yeah.
they've rebuilt the downtown
Yeah.
city centre, it's like nothing ever happened, and
I mean,
it,
they took the bricks, the old bricks, and they used them in the construction to like actually carry that history with them. I actually will be going to Warsaw as well, like for a few days, because my friends live in my wife's friends. They live in Warsaw, so but her family lives in Szczecin. So we usually go to Szczecin, which is closer to Berlin. But this time we'll be going there, and we'll be going for like 3 days to Warsaw as well.
you
Yes, it's
drive it.
very interesting. I will be taking train.
Yeah,
I will
because
be flying. I'll be flying to Berlin, and then from Berlin I'll go to Szczecin, and then after and where I'm in Szczecin, then I'll just take the train because like 3 hour or something like that train.
yeah, I'd
No,
never driven
5 hours.
abroad before, and we decided
Wow.
on the way back we were going to stop in a quite a nice little hostel in the centre of
Mm.
Berlin. But if you've never driven abroad before and driving on the wrong side of the road in an unfamiliar city, I very nearly killed people at least 3 times. So just my advice is
Yeah.
don't. Just it's
Yeah,
terrifying.
that thing like when I used to drive in Pakistan, it's the same side of the road as here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually not used to at all being on their side of the road. But it's very interesting driving in Szczecin, like and in Warsaw as well, like in the city because they have like trams and stuff, and I'm not used to driving alongside trams at all. So I've been like I haven't driven in Poland yet, but
Mm.
like her dad and her brother has been telling me like they'll take me out one of the days
Uh,
to like just to test it because they're always trying for me to move to Poland be- because they want their sister with them. Basically they want their sister and their daughter to come back to Poland,
oh, I do
so
it.
they
I
always
totally
try
would.
to
Yeah.
find ways to convince me.
Absolutely brilliant country. The only issue I had is that all the drivers there just seem to have a death wish because we were
They're
driving to
impatient people. They're impatient people,
yeah,
you
we were
know.
driving towards Warsaw. It was pitch
Mm,
black. It was raining. It's that sort of horizontal rain with the
mm,
wipers going, and with my even with full beams on, I could barely see. And
yeah,
I got down to about 50 miles an hour, and I still wasn't happy that I thought I was going too fast for my tastes. And I'm a competent driver in Britain, but it was just on strange roads and not being able to see anything. Yeah, there were like Skodas and BMWs and
yeah,
Mercedes stealing past at 110 miles an hour. It's like, how are
yeah,
you managing to do this? You have no idea what's in front of you. I guess that comes with practice, but just
yeah.
absolutely certain these people don't care if they die.
No. They're very, very impatient people. That's what I've seen about, and the way her dad drives as well. Um, for me to answer that question, the most embarrassing place I have farted. Um, I can't remember if it was. I think so. It was Wilco. I was in Wilco, looking for. Oh no, was it Wilco? I think so. Yeah, it was Wilco. I was looking at plates and some stuff like that, and yeah, I farted, and it was smelly. Right, it was proper smelly. And I just I did the classic thing because my wife was there. I just made it smell. I was like, oh, and just ran away because there were people like right behind us that were coming into that aisle, and my wife was just left over there with that smell. So they probably thought she farted. Yeah, she wasn't happy about that. That would probably be the yeah. I always make sure I don't, but yeah, sometimes you just can't hold it. All right, next question. That's a weird one. What would you call a male ladybug?
I've no idea.
I'll call it a buddy bug.
Fair enough.
I think so. Yeah.
It
All
really
right.
scraped the bottom of the barrel, was it?
Yeah. I know. It's a weird question. All right. We got the last question then. Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
What? Sorry.
Pineapple. Do you like pineapples on your pizza?
No. Pizza should be pepperoni, and that's it.
Yeah. So, I didn't used to like them at all on the pizza because I think so. I hate the Hawaiian pizza, right? With the ham. I don't think so it goes at all with the ham. I once had it like few years ago. I had it with jalapenos, pepperoni, and I had pineapple on it. And I really like mixing the jalapenos and pineapple.
Hmm.
A mixer of that. So yeah. I do that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of Italians don't like me for it, but who cares?
Pizza's one of those things I have them in the freezer for when I don't want to think about food. And
Yeah.
there's this. I used to. I probably ran up £1,000 on credit cards towards the because I actually towards the end of Brexit. I was blogging full time, and I'd finished working at Airbus, so I was largely living off credit cards for a few months. And so I must have run up about £1,000 of credit card debt just with Domino's Pizza.
Jesus.
Because at the time I couldn't cook and I had no interest in it. And then I discovered these Chicago Town stuffed crust things that you can just get from
Mm.
Tesco, and they're about £4.5. But that's like a third of the price of a Domino's pizza delivery. So we actually bought my partner was getting ideas about doing taxidermy. She's done a few projects, but decided after a power cut, all the dead animals we had in a chest freezer out in the garage. They were going to be ruined. So we spent one morning basically pulling dead gophers and blackbirds
Uh,
and meerkats out of the freezer, all in this sort of interesting sludge, semi-frozen sludge. And cleaned that out, and now the sole purpose for that chest freezer now is just sort of deep freeze of these Chicago Town deep pan pizzas, and that's they're just plain pepperoni, and that's it. The only thing we disagree on is whether it's tomato or cheese is stuffed crust, but 50-50, that's how it goes. We alternate between.
Tesco Express actually, Tesco also have that Pizza Express pizzas,
Yeah,
which
they're okay.
actually
Yeah.
they're not that bad.
There's a
Yeah,
Marks and Spencer's equivalent. We had one of those the other night. They are very good.
yeah. We have this restaurant, Taste of Italy, and it's probably like the best pizza in like England that I've had so far. So I usually go over there because they like the owner is from Napoli, right? So he is from Naples, so they make the proper pizzas, right? And it's actually won awards and stuff like that. They have like on their menu they have a pizza with pineapples, right? But oh, my camera has gone way up. They have a pizza with pineapples, but the cost is like 200 quid or something. Like as a joke that they made. It's pretty funny. I think so. The best pizza I've had was in Italy. It was actually in Rome, and nothing like just simple like margarita with basil on top, nothing else. But
Mm.
just that the way that they made it, like it was so fresh and everything. And that's the same thing that I get from there. But yeah, I don't have pineapples on their pizza ever. Only
Yeah,
get pineapples when I'm having like Domino's or something.
the Europeans have a very different idea of pizzas, don't they? It's more like less is more. I remember
Yeah.
similar sort of thing. I was in Yugoslavia about 1986, and same thing. And I can't have been very old. I think I might have been 6 years old, and it's one of my earliest memories. And it's being in this sort of bamboo walled pizza restaurant somewhere in Yugoslavia, and it was. I've been chasing that dragon ever since to find one that was
Yeah.
as delicious as that one. But British ones are just big, fattening grease balls, and that's
Yeah.
sometimes what you need when you can't be bothered thinking
Yeah.
about food.
Sometimes you need that, but I think so. They like sort of pay attention on the base itself, like so it doesn't really matter what's on top of it. It's all gonna taste nice. So
Yeah.
they go like as less as possible. But yeah, that was our silly question episode. I hope everyone enjoyed that episode and got to know a bit about us. And thank you to Pete for joining us. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay.